Hi, this is George with the Skinny on Lean, and for this Skinny Mini, we're going to take a look at waste. When Mr. Toyota at the Toyota Production Company developed this whole lean methodology that we have, he recognized that he needed to define what waste was for his employees. And he bucketed waste into three different categories. And they're called muda, mura, and mori in Japanese. You don't have to remember those words. What they mean is overburden, uneven, and unnecessary. Overburden is when you're putting too much stress on one employee. Let's say you have one employee who's really good at doing something. Constantly relying on that employee is a bad idea. You're going to overburden them. You're going to make them quit. Same thing with equipment. If you have a dump truck that can handle 2 tons, it's rated for 2 tons, and you keep putting 3 tons in there to save some trips, you're going to break down that equipment. So that's not a really good idea. Mura is unevenness. If we're looking at a process, it's generally a series of steps within a process, or sometimes a series of different processes. You want to make sure that they flow evenly, so no one has to wait, no one has to come back or cancel, things like that. An example would be in the clinical setting, a patient checks in, they're roomed, they see the provider, then they leave. If you can check in a patient every 15 minutes, but it takes the provider 30 minutes to see that patient, you're going to get a bunching up of patients and a lot of waiting. So, really bad idea. The third category, unnecessary steps, is where the staff can really step up. This is where most of the waste occurs, where it can be found, identified, and removed. And there's a really cool acronym called downtime. And downtime reflects all the waste that the staff generally sees. The D for downtime is defects. An example would be a mislabeled specimen. That causes all kinds of problems. Overproduction. If you have a vaccine that has a short shelf life after it's thawed or removed from the fridge, you want to make sure you don't thaw out too much because it's going to be wasted. Waiting. No one likes to wait. Makes the customer unhappy. And if you're a member of the staff who's waiting on someone else to finish your job, you're being paid for doing nothing. Not clear instructions. Not clear instructions, that's a pet peeve of mine. You'll have a lot of managers who will ask you to do something, but they don't give enough instructions so that you don't do it to their satisfaction. You think you're doing a great job, but they didn't actually describe what the job was clearly enough. Transport. Transport is the next one. Transport is the movement of goods, equipment, or in the clinical setting, a patient. If a patient has to be moved up and down the floors from different floors to have different tests, that's a waste. You should plan your days to make sure if you're moving a patient, they get everything done where they have to be, when they have to be. Inventory is another waste that is often overlooked. You want to have as much as you need when you need it, but not too much. If you have too much, you risk spoilage. You have too much, you have to store it. You have to air condition it. You have to heat it. And it's not money in the bank earning interest. If you don't have enough, you're going to end up with customers or patients waiting, or staff waiting on more supply. You may even have to cancel some appointments. Motion is similar to transport, but motion is the staff members themselves. They have to move back and forth through their day. You want to minimize that. If you're working here and way down the hall is the printer and you use the printer all the time, that's a waste of you moving back and forth. Move closer to the printer or vice versa. And then excess processing. Excess processing is really critical. If you have a patient that qualifies for test A, B, and C, great, do those. But throwing in D just in case, maybe you want to reconsider that. If you don't excess process, if you don't do more than you have to do, you're creating capacity for more patients. So that's the basic waste that were identified by Toyota and is still used today. And that takes care of waste. So thank you very much. Have a good one.